The anime story begins by showing us an old man from a very long time ago. He was once known for being a legendary and talented teacher among magic users and was also the master of all sages. However, as more and more time passes on, the old man has simply given up and hides away in his smelly dojo like a ghost, and doesn't give a damn about what he once was, and wants to do nothing but drink his sorrows away all day, and drown them out until he's 6 feet under. However, his first class disciple came into the room and calls him a selfish weirdo for acting like a disgusting alky. He reminds the old creepo that his soul is incredibly powerful and unique, filled with God-given talents that are 1 in a billion. So before the old man passes, he kindly asks the master if he will allow him to turn his spirit into a pen brush, so his soul would at least live on forever. The sweaty old sage agrees with his prophecy, but tells the young lad that he needs to have one more drink before he turns into a stupid little pen. And here he downs the jug of wine and straight after writes down a spiritual passing poem on a special scroll, allowing his spirit to be withheld within the pen brush that wrote the words. And just then, he is transformed into a brush. After that, his disciple tries obtaining the power from the brush and use it for himself. But the brush doesn't like him and doesn't see him as a true successor, calling him a dumb nerd, and we see it flying away into a whole other universe. Sometime later, we meet Lu. He's feeling really bored during his class on ancient Chinese civilization at school when suddenly the teacher calls on him to answer a question. Lu's answer is totally off and everyone laughs. Then, the teacher's favorite student jumps in and gives the right answer. This kid is the ultimate teacher's pet, insisting that Lu apologizes to the teacher. Lu refuses angrily and accidentally knocks the teacher's cup off his desk, causing a commotion. Our boy has ultra instinct though, and he catches the cup. He thinks he's got the upper hand, but then he embarrasses himself by breaking the teacher's ink brush. That brush was the teacher's favorite, and now Lu is in deep trouble. They haul him off to the principal's office. On the way there, we find out that the teacher's pet's name is Zhang, and Lu can't stand him because he's the type to boost himself up by putting others down. In the principal's office, Zhang apologizes for the chaos since he's the class monitor, but the principal is cool about it. However, for Lu, it's a different story. The principal gives him a hard time and basically tells him to pack up and go home. Then, the teacher mentions how special his pineapple ink brush was, but all Lu can think about is if he'll have to pay for it. The teacher goes into the intricate details of what made it so valuable. Lu gets really bored and wishes the teacher would just tell him how much it costs. The teacher's name is Mr. Ju, and everyone is surprised when he says Lu just needs to find the same brush to make things right. The principal is shocked, but Mr. Ju says good teachers teach instead of punishing. He explains that brushes have 4 good qualities, so finding a new one will teach Lu a lot. Mr. Ju will get his brush, and Lu will learn, so it's a good deal for both. Lu agrees because finding a pen is better than getting kicked out of school. But he starts regretting it when he can't find the brush after going to many markets. Lu wonders if Mr. Ju is making him suffer on purpose just to kick him out of school. He finds a guy selling brushes, but they're all bad. The seller tries to stop Lu from leaving, but Lu sees Zhang and goes to him. Lu listens to Zhang talking to his uncle, Zhao. Zhao says he doesn't have the brush, but he sent people to find it. Lu is furious at saying but is ready to do what he has to do. Just then, Zhao reveals that the brush has been found at a thrift shop in a different city. They decide to have lunch before they go get it, but this only buys our boy some time, and he takes off to get the brush. Lu arrives at the shop and instantly falls in love with the girl there. He tries to compliment the amazing things they sell there, but the girl's all business and explains that her grandfather owns the shop. Lu asks to see the pineapple brush and is ecstatic to see that they actually have it. She tells him not to touch it and explains that they have to wait till her grandfather puts a price on it before he can buy it. She lets Lu touch the box though, and he can't understand why it's so cold. Just then, a well-dressed man named Zuge arrives and has to speak with Mr. Wei. The girl is very cold to this guy, telling him to leave as he is not welcome there. This jerk snatches the brush from her hand, calls it cheap, and tosses it. Our boy shows off his quick reflexes again though and catches it. The man becomes really upset as he tells the girl that she knows what he is there for. This psycho demands that she get it and says that he has no problem hitting women. Lu stands up for the girl he just fell in love with, but this guy uses some kind of force to push them back. Zuge takes what he was after and tells the girl, named Rong, to say hello to her grandfather for him. Rong steps forward, telling Lu to stay back, and uses an ability to attack the man with snow. Zuge isn't afraid of a few snowflakes, but Rong covers him with even more snow. Zuge is then shocked as Rong summons a snowstorm ink brush and hits him with some snowballs in the face. Zuge is tired of playing games and summons his Cloud Rider ink brush. The two battle it out, and Lu wonders if he's going crazy. Zuge points out that she isn't the only one with the spirit brush and warns her that she won't survive his next attack. Rong simply tells him to leave the brush he stole, but he says it would have to be over his dead body. Rong attacks him, but this just causes the brush he stole to go flying out of his package and straight into Lu's chest. Everyone is shocked, and we see that something has completely changed in Lu. Zuge tries to attack him, but he can't match Lu's new speed. Zuge tries to use an ability, but Lu somehow easily stops it. Rong jumps in to land an attack, but Zuge instantly counters. Our boy has leveled up big time though and quickly stops that as well. Zuge disappears, so Rong asks Lu if he is okay, but he isn't and he passes out. When Lu wakes up, he's in a strange place wearing strange clothes. He thinks it's really beautiful, but that feeling doesn't last because he falls off a boat. He wakes up from the dream and smells some pink fabric. The shop owner, Mr. Wei, welcomes him and introduces his granddaughter, who seems annoyed. Mr. Wei says Lu passed out because he's weak, but Lu remembers he was actually fighting snowflakes and got hit by an ink brush. Mr. Wei laughs and says Lu was just imagining things like a crazy person. He changes the subject by teasing Lu about imagining wrong. Lu remembers he's there to shop. He asks about the pineapple pen but is shocked when Mr. Wei says he sold it to someone named Zhang. Lu starts to walk away feeling defeated, but Mr. Wei takes responsibility for the accident and offers Lu another ink brush to make things right. He says this brush is even more valuable than the one Lu wanted, making Lu wonder if he really imagined everything. Meanwhile, a lady in a red dress sneaks into a restricted area during a tour, claiming she was looking for a bathroom when caught. The man who finds her doesn't know who lives there and just gives her a map to leave. She takes a selfie before going. Back with Lu, he starts to believe he imagined things, especially since he'd be dead if a brush really went through him. He gets surprised by someone in the bathroom and leaves feeling down about not getting the pineapple brush. But he remembers his teacher wanted him to learn something, and now he has a better brush, so maybe he won't get punished after all. Lu heads to Mr. Ju's place, thinking of adding a sad twist to his ink brush story for sympathy. He bumps into Zhang, fearing he might mess things up. Zhang gives Mr. Ju the pineapple pin, impressing him. He taunts Lu about being a good student, but Lu surprises him by revealing he brought a brush. Though Mr. Ju initially doubts its quality, he's stunned when he inspects it. Excitedly, Mr. Ju tries it out and is amazed. Lu laughs at Zhang. Zhang lists the 4 virtues of an ink brush, but Lu scoffs, explaining them better. Mr. Ju is impressed, and Lu wonders how he knows so much. Mr. Ju says the brush is more than its virtues, mentioning an old poem. Lu somehow completes it, wondering if he's hallucinating again. Mr. Ju is pleased with the brush and Lu's learning. Later, Lu does gaming at a cafe and gets a message about his talents. Suddenly, some drunks harass the owner, Yan. One of the guys is upset that Yan was talking to his girl, so the entire gang is ready to teach him a lesson. Unfortunately for them, Yan has some sweet fighting moves and has no fear at all. Lu jumps in since Yan is so outnumbered, and Yan is a bit surprised to see that Lu was a better friend than he thought. They haven't known each other for long, but Lu points out that Yan helped him get more credits the other day so he could keep gaming. The two are severely outnumbered, so Lu ends up in a bad spot, but a power surges from his body. Lu is somehow able to teleport into the air, and even scares himself as he has no clue what is happening to him. The drunk bunch of idiots try to just go after Yan, but Lu instantly descends from the ceiling to rain punches on all of them. The guys run out of there, and Yan can't believe that Lu had been hiding his superhuman fighting skills this entire time. Yan would like to talk about some things, but Lu is exhausted and needs to rest. Lu is certain now that he wasn't hallucinating. He becomes excited since he can somehow read ancient characters and unleash insane combat power. He can't believe this is something that is actually happening in real life and decides to call himself the Inkbrush Ranger. He actually thinks he should try to pick a better name but falls asleep instead. Lu wakes up to hear a strange man reciting a poem. He gets freaked out by this old dude but really wakes up this time. He heads home and decides that he needs to go back to the thrift shop to get some answers. Just then, he hears something calling his name and finds that it's some kind of strange monster. Lu does his best to get away, but the monster catches up to him. He tries to calm himself down, reminding himself that he has superpowers, but they don't work. Lu begins to wonder if this will be the end of his life. Meanwhile, elsewhere, we get a quick look at the red-dressed woman as she breaks into the place she was kicked out of. Back with Lu, his life is about to end at the hands of a terrifying demon, and he goes through all his regrets, not yet having dated a girl or becoming the hero he was destined to become. Just then, the monster is covered in ice, and Lu can't believe he is still alive. Rong is the one who saved him, and she instantly wants to know where the ink brush is that they gave him. She is furious to hear that he gave it away and lets out her anger by freezing the demon. She finishes it off, and Lu falls in love all over again. They return to the thrift shop, and Lu can't believe that someone is transforming ink brushes into monstrous puppets. Mr. Wei explains that the monsters are created by a top-notch ink brush, which can only be countered by the Cess ink brush that they gave him. Lu can't believe that he just gave it away and explains that he wouldn't be alive right now if Rong didn't just show up to save him. Lu is quick to point out that they lied to him about everything, and the old man says that he lied to protect him. Mr. Wei explains that Lu was just an average Joe, so he should try his best to ignore what he has seen and live a normal life. Lu is incredibly insulted to hear this and points out that he was the one who saved Rong from Zuge the other day. Lu refuses to walk away from trouble when he has these new superpowers, so Mr. Wei tells him to wait to make his decision until after he hears everything. Mr. Wei then tells a story about an unknown scribe called the Burial Owner who lived in a time where people burnt books and ended the lives of scholars. It was a time of chaos, and this man watched scholars being buried by bitter hatred. He swore not to let talent be wasted and developed a method to gather the spirits of these scholars into ink brushes. These would be called the brush spirits. The spirit inside Lu's brush is named Li, who was known as the King of Poems. Lu wonders if that makes him the king of all brush rangers. The only problem, though, is that this green lotus ink brush inside Lu is not the complete one, it's just a vestige. Just then, Mr. Wei springs into action and attacks someone behind Lu. This man is named Li, and he just came to see the man who injured Zuge. Lu is completely lost, and Rong simply explains that this is the man who's trying to take his life. He is chief of the Zhe family, so he is not to be underestimated. Rong tries to attack him, but this only puts her in danger. Our brave protagonist tries to protect her, but Mr. Wei has to do it instead. The old men fight as Li states that the 7 dukes of City Guan are his. Rong explains that those are the 7 superior, long-lost brush spirits made by the Burial Owner, including the green lotus brush. Li wants to take the green lotus brush to split the ink brush from the host. To do this, he will have to eliminate the host, and that is Lu. A look at where the red-dressed lady was reveals a bunch of frantic guards screaming that the ink brush library has just been robbed. They want to capture the thief, but this lady is long gone. The fight between the old men continues, but Mr. Wei is in really bad shape. Rong tells Lu to run, and they will stall Li for a while. Things get really bad as Li is about to finish off Mr. Wei. Lu once again shows his lightning-quick reflexes and uses his new immense power to save him. Li is amazed to see the vestige inside Lu in action, but Mr. Wei tells Lu that he doesn't stand a chance against Li. Lu says that he can't back down either but soon finds himself at the mercy of Li. Li prepares to end his life, but Mr. Wei sacrifices himself to save Lu. Mr. Wei manages to do just enough damage to force Li to retreat, but Li states that they won't be able to protect Lu for long. Thankfully, the two guys are okay, but Mr. Wei explains that this was only Li's clone, and there are many dangers ahead. They have to quickly learn how to split the brush spirit from Lu's body. But first, Lu should learn how to control it. That way, he can protect himself in case anything bad happens to them. Lu refuses to let them risk their lives for him anymore, but Mr. Wei points out that it was his fault that Lu got into this mess, so it's his job to protect him. Lu says that he will agree to learn how to control the brush spirit, but only if it means that he can not only protect himself but them too. Mr. Wei agrees to train him, but he needs time to recover, so Rong volunteers to tutor him instead. Mr. Wei allows it, and Lu's just glad to see that Rong might not hate him as much as he thought. Later, Lu returns to school and gets plenty of attention for having Rong next to him. Rong takes him to a library and explains that Lu will have to memorize all the poetry Lei wrote. Of course, Lu dreads this as it's just like Chinese ancient civilization class all over again. He points out how stressed out she looks and tries to tell her a joke, but it misses really badly. Just then, Zhang arrives, reciting poems like a jerk, and introduces himself to Rong. Zhang then mocks Lu relentlessly, and Lu gets so flustered that he can't even think straight. Zhang assumes that Rong is just with him out of pity. He explains that Lu was a troublemaker that almost got kicked out of school, so he urges her to stay away from him. Other students begin to join in on the insults, but Rong has heard enough. She points out that Zhang is just acting tough and he should learn how to humble himself. Lu is amazed to see that she stood up for him, and she takes his hand as they leave. Everyone is surprised to see this, but Zhang thinks she is just playing hard to get with him. A little later, Lu is still amazed, and he wonders if this is what love is. He explains that he can visualize all the poems in his head, but he can't quite understand what they mean. Rong explains that different scholars transform into different spirits, and normally they choose someone and synthesize with them in nature. However, sometimes they just choose any host that is suitable like him. That's why it can't bring out the best in him. The nosy Zhang has been listening this whole time and wonders if ink brushes are real. He thinks that if he can get his hands on one with his talent, he could become famous. Lu almost falls asleep from all the boring reading, and Rong explains that understanding Li is the best way to forge a bond with his spirit brush. Lei's writing is far too advanced for his slow brain, so they must start with easier poets. Lu thinks he deserves a break, but Rong tells him that he can rest forever when the Zhuge family comes to get him. Lu wonders if there's anyone that will fight with him, but no one wants to stand up against the Zhuge family. Lu compares his life to a video game but can't believe he already has to face the final boss. Rong explains that the power of every brush spirit is affected by the talent it contains. Our boy will have a much greater chance of success if he can find its origin and feature. Lu is a terrible student as he just wants to sleep, but Rong beats him over the head with more information. Our boy impresses her by showing that he actually knows quite a bit about the writer inside of her snowstorm ink brush. This is completely out of character for our simple-minded protagonist, and it turns out that he asked Mr. Ju to help him so he could get closer to Rong. His devious plan works perfectly as Rong smiles for the first time in her life. Lu blissfully recites a poem in his mind, but Rong quickly snaps him out of it. Rong speaks very highly of the burial owner, so Lu gets jealous and questions if he ever did anything for society. He points out how selfish the man was, and now understands why the green lotus brush flew away. Just then, an energy flows from Lu's body, and a deer comes out. He celebrates because he made some kind of connection with his spirit brush, but unfortunately, this just means more studying. Elsewhere, Zhang calls his uncle Zhao and asks him if he can get in contact with a woman named Why she is an expert in something, and Zhang has an ink brush she might be interested in. Later that night, Lu gets a lot of attention in front of his dorm for having Rong by his side. He tells her to head home, but she demands that she stay with him. All the dudes around are shocked to hear this, so Lu decides that they need to go somewhere else. He takes her to the internet cafe, and he has to clear things up when his friend thinks Rong is his girl. Yan introduces himself to her and seats the two lovebirds together. Lu thinks she looks strange just surfing the internet since she seems pretty uptight. Rong explains that she is practically from a different world, and people like her go through endless training since childhood. She is glad to be there, so Lu tells her that they can train and study later. Now it's time for him to teach her something, so she agrees to learn how to play a game. Lu loads up some League of Legends, and the two get to gaming. After some time, Lu wonders if Rong really hasn't played before because she is so good. Rong's a fast learner, and she explains that playing games is much easier than controlling a brush spirit. She wants Lu to study hard, and he becomes excited when he realizes that the more poems he recites, the stronger his spirit brush will be. Lu begins studying right then and there. He eventually falls asleep but wakes up after having the same dream with the creepy old guy. Rong falls asleep, and Yan wonders why since it's only 10:30. Lu proudly explains that Rong isn't just any girl and she doesn't have time to sleep like ordinary people. Yan explains that a girl like her will eventually get bored of coming to the internet cafe, and recommends Lu come up with more date ideas. Lu thanks his buddy and goes to stare at Rong for a bit. He thinks about how he is now in sync with the green lotus brush, and he has recited plenty of poems. If he can get the coreless ink brush back to complete his brush spirit, then he can defend himself. Lu doesn't want Rong to be in danger anymore, so he contacts Mr. Ju and asks him if he can borrow the coreless ink brush again. Unfortunately, Mr. Ju explains that Zhang has a friend who was interested in it as well, and he already gave it to her. Lu gets furious at his rival and runs off to look for him. He tells Yan to look after Rong, and Yan can't believe kids these days just leave their dates. Lu heads to Zhang's uncle's house, but it's way too dark, and he falls flat on his face. He freaks out after tripping over a lifeless body, but luckily Zhang's uncle is still breathing. Lu begins to call for help, but he hears Zhang's voice and Lu feels a great deal of pain when his brush spirit becomes uneasy. He puts his phone on silent and goes to have a peek at what's going on. He finds that the mysterious woman is doing something crazy to Zhang, and she states out loud that the coreless ink brush takes more time to refine than others. Zhang is clearly in a great deal of pain, but she tells him that he is lucky to become her brush puppeteer. Lu freaks out at what he is witnessing, but Zhang isn't dead yet and he still has time to save him. Zhang has a stupid looking face that Lu just wants to slap, but he is still another life at the end of the day. He realizes that he needs Wrong's help, but she won't make it in time. The mysterious woman looks crazy powerful. Lu thinks he will lose his life instantly if he tries to fight her. He racks his brain trying to decide what to do and comes up with an idea. The mysterious lady is just hanging out, and Lu shockingly calls out to her. She comes outside where Lu acts furious after finding out that she dared to lay her hands on a member of the Zuge family. He confidently says that she has signed her own death warrant, but she tells the little boy to go home to bed. Lu makes it clear that he's not playing games and releases a burst of energy that makes her realize that he has a brush spirit. Lu explains that Mr. Lee is very angry and she is in huge trouble, but she points out that Zhang was the one that brought the coreless ink brush to her. Zhang didn't know a single thing about brush spirits, but Lu doesn't want to hear it. Lu's bluff surprisingly works, and this girl who is named Kai promises to do whatever she can for the Zuge family. Lu realizes that people really are afraid of the Zuge family and tells her to give Zhang back. Lu promises to put in a good word for her with his master, but this just seems to give him away. Kai has a good laugh as she has realized that this idiot lied to her, and she prepares to show him how powerful her angular ink brush can be. Lu tries to escape as fast as he can, but it's no use as these chains catch him. All of Lu's limbs are now numb and sore, so he can't move. She points out that Mr. Lee is not the master and she will have to punish Lu for lying. Lu realizes that he underestimated this woman, and she gives him a little history lesson on her brush spirit. While she does that, our boy tries summoning his power, but he fails. He reveals that her chains connect to all 5 senses and they control nerves, numbness, itchiness, and pain overwhelm his body, but Lu isn't ready to die. Kai causes even greater pain but eventually gets bored and decides that it's time to take his life. Her final chain takes our boy by the neck and she begins choking him. Just as Lu is about to lose consciousness, he remembers the poem about taking one's own life. Lu begins reciting this poem and insane amounts of power begin flowing from his body. Kai is shocked when this power flows through her chains and she has no clue what is going on. Lu continues reciting the poem until his body bursts with energy, and he realizes that he has the green lotus brush vestige. Our boy is becoming a real nerd as the sunrise reminds him of another poem. He recites it and instantly attacks with purple fog. Kai tries to counter, but there's no hope against our boy's fog. Lu destroys several of her little snakes, so she gives up on that, and our little nerd keeps reciting poems. All his nerdy studying really pays off though, as Lu was able to create a gigantic wave. He prepares another, but something goes wrong. Luckily Kai already ran away, but our boy is just glad that she left something, and Zhang seems to be okay. Yan tells Wrong that he has no clue where Lu is, and he just happens to arrive. Lu doesn't realize that he dropped the thing he took from me, but we see that Zhang is in really bad shape as he looks like a zombie. Lu explains what happened, so Wrong analyzes Zhang's destroyed body. She explains that he was devoured by the coreless ink brush all over except for his brain. All she can do is slow down the refinement, but she can't stop it. Just then, Zhang's father barges in and has his men take Zhang to the hospital. Zhang's father thanks Lu for saving his son but says that he never should have brought him to a quack, referring to Wrong. Lu prepares to stick up for his woman, but Mr. Zhang gives him some money and leaves. Afterwards, Wrong is really proud of her boy for summoning attacks. Those poems he recited are supposed to make people depressed and gloomy, but Lu just got more smug. She points out that he was reciting verse after verse, so that is why he fell out of rhythm. Just then, he realizes that he lost the thing he took from Kai. Yan finds it on the floor and opens it, but he's shocked when a brush pops out. The others arrive to see this as well, but it's too late as the brush enters Yan's body. Lu was concerned, but Wrong explains that he just connected with the brush spirit. Lu lets him just fall to the floor, and Yan has a good nap. Yan eventually wakes up and demands that Lu tell him if he is good or evil. Yan always knew that Lu was part of a secret agency where everyone has superpowers. Lu says that they are good, so Yan is just glad that he must be a new chosen member. Yan immediately starts to think of a plan to protect Zhang since he's likely going to be hunted, but Wrong tries to stop him. Yan, the new hero, hilariously tells them that nothing is more important than saving the lives of the powerless, and they take off. They go to the hospital to see Zhang, and Yan wants to know the origins of his brush spirit. Unfortunately, they don't know, so he will have to figure it out himself. Lu tells him to just relax since he is at least still alive. He tries to relax, but people's blood all around him catches his attention. His fingertips begin to glow, and he wonders if he has just awakened his powers. Lu is shocked that it happened so fast, but Wrong warns him not to get too close as his powers could be destructive. Lu imagines the worst case scenario, but they are interrupted by a dark cloud. Zhang isn't the one doing it, and Rong reveals that this is a 5-colored brush which casts hallucinations. Unfortunately, the boys have already been captured and are having the hallucination of their lives. Rong tells the idiots to close their eyes, but she is captured soon after. Her hallucination is terrifying, but Lu, our boy, breaks free. He rescues Rong, and she blocks off the fog. Their opponent explains that the yellow light arouses one's lust, cyan arouses fear, and red arouses weakness. Rong blocks the opponent's next attack, and Yan tries his best to summon his powers. Unfortunately, the typical hero moves don't work, and Lu is hit with a red light. His friends rush to help him, and Yan knocks him down as he is too afraid to use his fingers. Lu just manages to say wrong, and she explains that their attacker is from the Zhuge family. This person is after Lu, so she fortifies her defense. But the guy just sends out some demons to attack them while they defend themselves. Rong gives the boys a history lesson on some poets. The pen burial owner couldn't make it to some writer named Guo's deathbed, but he did keep Guo's wandering soul. 200 years later, he put the soul into a boy called Jiang. Rong wants Yan to recite any of Lei's poems, but he doesn't know any and she is hit with the red light. Lu rushes to protect his girl and snaps her out of the hallucination. Unfortunately, he was too distracted by her, and he is shockingly pierced right through the chest by a demon. He tells Rong to escape, and the monster tosses him right into Yan. Yan accidentally touches him with his glowing Cheeto fingers, and the giant hole in Lu's chest surprisingly heals. Lu can't understand how he's still alive, and Yan accidentally spreads his Cheeto dust all over Rong as well. Her injuries heal too, and they realize that it's because of Yan's fingers. Yan gets a little confident and walks right up to the demons, but they just wail on him. Yan heals himself, and his friends assume he's putting in work. Yan uses his healing ability to make it through all the fog and eventually finds the guy causing all the problems. The guy tries to give up, but Yan beats him down anyway. Rong gives him some cover, and the guy tries to use a sneak attack, but Yan handles it easily. Lu reveals that all the demons are destroyed, but this guy goes all crazy and tries to heal himself with Yan's powers. It backfires pretty hard on this idiot, and he is knocked back. The guy runs off, and they decide to just let him go. Normal people can't see what they see, and Lu declares that being a hero is his job. Rong gets upset as she doesn't need to be rescued, and the boys go to see Zhang. Mr. Ju is there, and he has many regrets. Since Zhang is still in a coma, he doesn't think that the coreless ink brush is worth all the danger and explains that it was made by an ancient member of the Zhuge family. They leave, and Yang gets the idea to try his healing power on Zhang, but it isn't potent enough. Lu goes to find Rong, but she is on the phone. Surprisingly, she tells the person on the phone that Lu has taken the bait, and the plan is going perfectly. Lu believes whatever she says, and he's easy to manipulate. Lu instantly confronts her, but she says that what she's talking about was so obvious there is no way he actually thought she would want to hang out with an idiot like him. Afterwards, we find that Lu was really upset with the Y family, so they decide that Lu will have to learn the hard way. It turns out that Rong revealed that her grandfather planned it from the start. They earned Lu's trust so they could use his green lotus brush to track the 7 dukes. She manipulated him and surprisingly now calls him a good puppet. Lu was furious that they were just using him and wondered why his mother didn't warn him that women lie. Just then, Kai appears and reveals that she was looking for him. He stole her brush, but he reveals that he doesn't have it anymore. She knows that Lu was connected to the Y family, but he denounces them. Kai is glad to hear that he is a lone ranger now and would like for them to team up so they can find the 7 dukes themselves. Kai determines that the W family girl must have broken his heart, but he tells her to shut up. Her laughing is getting pretty annoying, but she then offers to heal Zhang if Lu works for her. She reminds him that he just can't let a life go without saving it, but Lu is done with trusting women. Kai eventually convinces him, and she drags Lu along to retrieve the life-saving tool. Lu thinks about letting her heal Zhang, but then betraying her since everyone seems to be lying these days anyway. Kai retrieves the item that's supposed to save Zhang and explains that the Inkstone is alive. This turns out to just be a trick though, as she tases her boy into unconsciousness. Lu just can't catch a break when it comes to women, and Kai puts them in her trunk. Yan finds Rong inside the hospital, and they both wonder where Lu went. Lu wakes up to find that he is all tied up, and his brush beard is being restricted by some kind of seal. Lu tries to call Yan, but Kai retrieves him from the trunk. She tosses him on the ground and reveals that she has brought him to a temple where she can end his life if she so pleases. She wants his green lotus brush vestige, but her attack surprisingly doesn't work because it was blocked by some kind of bead. A mysterious person arrives and reveals that they know that Kai stole brushes from the Wei mansion. This bald dude tells his right-hand man named Ju to knock out Yi, but she puts up a good fight. The little karate dude overwhelms her, but Kai manages to free Lu with her magic. She promises that she won't hurt Lu if he helps her, but he doesn't know what to believe. Our boy ends up cheering for the karate kid, but just before he's about to win, he stops. Ju wants her to stand up so they can start the fight over, but his boss tells him to not have mercy on people like her. Ju continues his barrage of attacks, but he uses Lu as a shield and manages to get away. The bald-headed dude uses one of his beads to free Ju, and we find that his name is Master Bidet. They all introduce themselves, but Lu tells them that he doesn't have a brush spirit. This bald-headed dude surprisingly knows that Lu actually has the green lotus brush spirit though, and was able to figure it out because of the seal. Lu prepares for a fight, but they explain that they don't mean any harm. Lu doesn't believe them, but Master Bidet instantly shuts our boy down. Bidet explains that he disrupted Lu's rhythm, and if Lu tries to force himself, he will only get hurt. He is impressed with Lu's ability and explains that he only wants to learn more about the green lotus brush spirit. Bidet reveals that the Wei family had succession problems a long time ago. The family turned against one another, and there were several casualties. Rong's grandfather was the instigator, and he disappeared ever since then. They notice someone's presence, and Ju instantly runs off to handle it. It turns out to be Yan, so Lu calms everyone down. Yan heard everything thanks to Lu's phone call, and he knows that the bald-headed guy probably knows that the ink brush Kai stole is inside of him. Bidet does and reveals that his brush spirit is called the eyebrow drawing brush by Zhang Cheng. Zhang's wife broke the tail of her eyebrow, so the simp drew her eyebrows for her with a brush every single day. Rong gives Yan something to show hello, but they notice that someone is approaching. Bidet hides their presence, and the W recognizes that the intruder is King. Bidet explains that this temple emanates depression and sorrow as a result. Aura doesn't circulate well there, so this place is used to pull brush spirits out of people's bodies. It's considered a slaughterhouse, which is why Kai brought him there. King performs the brush spirit removing ritual on some poor unconscious guy, and Lu realizes that it could have been him. King prepares to stab the guy, but Lu and the other boys decide to step forward. Bidet is disappointed in the foolish young men, but King is glad to see Lu once again. King is glad that the green lotus brush vestige came to him, and Lu is shocked that the guy under the spell has one of the 7 dukes inside of him. Lu fails to use his power when King attacks, but luckily, Ju is able to protect him. Lu's brush is unlistening to him, so Bidet points out that he is too weak right now. King is insanely powerful though, so Bidet must back up his protege. Ju uses his sweet hand-to-hand combat skills to disarm King and falls back whenever King uses magic. This allows Dude to push King back with physical attacks, but King has had enough and prepares a powerful attack that stirs the clouds. This attack is able to shatter Bidet's defense, and Yan finds out that his cooldown on his healing ability isn't done yet. King reveals that anything they do is futile at this point since they will all soon be dead. Bidet finds the strength to put up another barrier, and tells Dude to get the others out of there. King shows off another powerful attack though, and it quickly destroys this barrier as well. King refuses to let them even think of getting away, and Ju heroically protects the others by sacrificing himself. King then takes hold of Lu, so his closest friend desperately attacks King. King is pretty unstoppable at this point though, and easily takes out both Yan and Lu. He wants to get revenge for what Lu did to him, but the guy under the spell asks Lu for help. King won't be having any of that though, so he turns his attention to the guy and shockingly ends his life. Yan thinks about how he has never been beaten up so badly in his life and finds that the cooldown for his ability is over for one of his fingers. King extracts the ink brush from the dead guy, and Bidet recognizes it as the pupil marking ink brush. King prepares to end Lu next, but Yan saves him. Yan shows Lu his finger, but Lu is concerned since his ability backfired on that one bad guy before. King then continues to overpower our heroes, but Yan has come to a decision. He takes a risk by using his ability, but he accidentally touches the pupil marking ink brush instead. King has to keep it from escaping, and the guys determine that the ability of Yan's brush must be to turn back time. This actually kind of makes sense as his healing is just undoing wounds. The damage he caused to that one bad guy was just redoing damage that was done seconds before. The same goes for opening King's ink brush holder. King tries to go after Lu again, but quickly regrets it when his attack hits the ink brush he's trying to recapture. Everyone is then shocked when the ink brush shoots right into Lu's body. Everyone is stunned since Lu now has 2 ink brushes inside him, but that should be impossible. Immense amounts of power now flow through Lu's body, and he demands that King hand over his Cloud Rider ink brush as well. Lu uses his newfound power to attack, but finds that King just managed to get away. Yan is amazed that Lu learned how to use his new power so quickly, but Lu is exhausted. Lu reveals that he actually just recited a poem in his head from the green lotus brush, but it was only to scare King away. In reality, he doesn't know how to use the new ink brush at all. Bide checks Lu's body and shockingly reveals that Lu somehow managed to fuse 2 brush spirits. No one has ever done this before, so Yan considers Lu the chosen one. According to legend, someone once tried to forcibly do it, but they died suddenly. Lu panics as he thinks he might drop dead at any moment, but Yan remembers that Rong had a message for Lu. Luckily, it explains the safe way to split a brush beard from one's body. It might as well be gibberish though because the boys can't decipher the riddle, so Bide gives it a try. Yan thinks Lu should try to talk to Rong, but Lu explains that her grandfather is too dangerous and he would rather keep his distance. Lu explains that he isn't sure if Rong is actually trying to help him or if she is just trying to lure him back. Bide reveals that the message mentions something about 2 places called the pen burials, but he has never heard of a way to safely split brush spirits. Bide, Yan and Ju go to the 2 locations while he and Lu go to his village to do some research. In his village, Bide introduces Lu to his uncle Ding. Ding thinks they're there to have a good time monk style, but Bide surprises him by saying Lu's there to see the chief. Ding learns about the talent selection ceremony where the chosen one becomes the pen burial scribe. Bide explains to the chief, who is also his father, what happened. The chief can't believe Lu's kept 2 brushes inside him without harm. He tells Lu his body is special and he can achieve great things if he works hard. But Lu, just a regular guy, doesn't want to risk his life. He just wants the brushes out. The chief sighs and they're restrained. Bide explains Lu trusted him to bring him. The chief says the brushes in Lu's body are attached, and the green lotus brush won't let the other go easily. He tells his son Lu has no chance against it. He needs to think about what to do, not knowing how much time he has left. In the chief's room, Ding tries to convince his brother not to help Lu, fearing for their family and village. The chief returns and decides to free them, letting them make their own choices. As an apology, he tells Lu the pupil marking brush's true power, prophecy, but using it costs Lu some of his life. When all the bristles are gone, Lu dies. The brush only points the way. Lu decides what to do. Bide suggests removing the brush from Lu, and the chief agrees, but he's suddenly in pain and then dies, with Bide revealing the brush inside him is gone too. Some random lady arrived, shocked to see that the chief is dead. Bide tells her to quiet down since the attacker might still be around. However, this lady is really dumb and fears that Bide and Lu murdered the chief. She runs off to spread the fake news, and Bide explains that it's hopeless, they have been set up. After the guys leave, the rest of the village arrives, and Ding tells the others to close the village exits so that they can't get away. The boys make their way to some temple where Bide reveals a hidden passageway. He explains that they are being hunted now, so the only place they can hide is Wise Brush Library. This library hides all the free brush spirits collected by the village. It's extremely confidential, and no one is even allowed to approach it without the chief's consent. Now that the chief is gone, the villagers will likely have a hard time deciding who will check the library. This means they will have some time to figure out how to get out of there. Bide explains that he stole a brush from there before and never showed up again after entering the brush library. This means that there must be a secret way out. They find something that opens the door, and Bide explains that there are mechanisms in place. These mechanisms test the participants' abilities during the brush spirit's return. There are a whole bunch of doors inside and strange writing on the walls. Some brushes are at the center, but Bide panics and tells Lu to turn off his light. Power erupts, and Bide explains that the brush activated when his flashlight hit it. The mechanism has been activated, so Bide whispers some kind of plan to Lu. Lu summons a large bell and rings it very loudly. Bide reveals that these monsters, known as brush puppeteers, don't have sight. They rely on their hearing to move around, so the loud ringing will mess with them. Lu beats down on these things, and they revert back to being brushes. Lu removes the bristles from the brushes and wonders if Bide was impressed since he hid his footsteps with sound. Bide has realized that the writing on the walls is famous literature, but it's all out of order. This brainiac figures out something about the shapes of the symbols and figures out where the exit is. The guys eventually reach the place where all the hidden brushes are. Lu is confident that with Bed's ability, he can pass the test of the brush beard to return easily. Bide admits that brush beard spirits are pretty cool, but he doesn't want one since Lu doesn't even want the one he has. The guys notice that there are some strange sword marks all over one of the walls, and Lu remembers how he was able to summon 2 swords when they fought. He determines that she was hitting the wall in an attempt to find a way out. She clearly didn't have time to steal more than one brush, so of course, she didn't have time to find the door. They find a spot on the wall that looks like it was repaired and determine that this must be where the exit used to be. Lu uses his power to blow it open and explains that this is how a stressed person solves problems. The guys finally find the exit, but it's time for them to part ways. There are many mysteries behind the death of Bed's father, and he wants to find out the truth. Afterwards, Lu eventually finds Yan, but he can't sleep. He asks the pupil brush about how he can successfully split the brush spirit, but it doesn't do anything. The stupid brush ends up giving him back an empty sheet of paper, but Lu still loses a bit of life for using it. Lu begins to think about asking wrong, but Yan says that women will only slow Lu down. Yan reminds Lu that he still has himself and Zhu, so they will help him with the split. Bide told them not to tell Zhu about what happened to the chief since he will surely want to rush back to the village. They come up with a lie to tell him and go to sleep nearby. Some strangers are watching the boys, and they know that Lu has the pupil marking brush. King is with him, and he blames them for what happened to the chief. The next morning, the guys arrive at a temple. Some old master named Zong once buried baskets of brushes he has used for decades next to the towers in the temple. He also set up a tablet that reads the words brush burial. They arrive at the place, but Lu has some strange painful vision. Just then, they are attacked, and Zhu goes after the culprit. Another attacker appears and introduces herself as Xiu, the person that will take their lives. The guy just barely manages to dodge her blades, and a third attacker appears. This guy mispronounces Lu's name, so Yan corrects him. Just then, something begins to happen to Yan, and he is shocked to find that he has been turned into his eyebrows brush. The cool glasses attacker guy explains that this place is his spiritual territory. Only brushes exist here, and he could only get Yan there by making him say Lu's name. This guy reveals that Yan is trapped, and it's because of his Asura water brush. The only way Yan can get out is by demonstrating highly rhyming skills outside. Lu runs for his life, and Xiu reveals that she's getting revenge for what they did to the chief. Lu is running out of time, so he uses his power to summon a sword. But unfortunately, it's incredibly weak. Next, he summons some armor, but that doesn't last for long. Lu realizes that he's in a really bad spot, but Xiu points out that his friends are doing even worse. A look at Zhu shows that King is killing him, and a look at Yan shows that he is still captured. Xiu prepares to end Lu's life, but he is still confident for some reason and creates a smoke screen. Xiu gets rid of it and instantly finds Lu. Lu tries to get away by summoning a dragon, but Xiu quickly shoots him down. Her blade causes some weird ooze to come out of one of the stones, and Lu is left to wonder what kind of strange power her giant brush has. Back with Yan, the cool glasses guy instructs him to read a poem with a certain rhythm. Yan scoffs at this guy since he can only battle with others' poems. Yan antagonizes him by pointing out that he doesn't have any of his own poems, so the guy gets flustered and is determined to prove Yan wrong. This guy doesn't realize it, but he just fell right into Yan's plan. Yan then demonstrates his exceptional rhythm and rhyming abilities by rapping. Yan has started a rap battle, but Glasses Guy just gets flustered. Yan keeps rapping and starts dissing Mr. Glasses relentlessly. The barrier around them begins to crack, and the Glasses Guy can't understand how Yan was able to rule his spiritual territory. Yan tells this guy that he will never be able to understand the power of a rap guide, and Glasses takes heavy damage. Yan takes a look at how his friends are doing, but finds that their attacks are all being destroyed. Just then, their fight is interrupted though as a terrifyingly huge creature appears from the ground. This monster clearly has massive amounts of power, but it seems like it can barely move. The thing seems to be targeting Xiu, but Lu's pupil brush automatically forces Lu to save her. The brush then protects the both of them, but Xiu thinks that Lu is trying to develop some plot with her. Xiu begins to tear up for some reason, but Lu has no clue as to why. What he is certain of though is that the pupil brush tricked him into saving her for some reason. Their friends risk their lives to come to their aid, and the attackers decide that they will have to get revenge another time. Lu and Yan go to rescue Zhu, but they are shocked when they see that the monster has long-range attacks as well. Lu's shield is about to break because of this attack, so Yan wants Lu to teach him how to make a barrier with his brush. Unfortunately though, Lu has no clue since the pupil brush is doing it on its own. Xiu saves Glasses from getting wrecked, but the entire group is stunned when they see that all their running has just brought them all back to the monster. They all hide, and it becomes apparent to them that the floating heads are disorienting them. The monster will find them soon and crush them, so Old Glasses thinks they should team up. He wants them to combine their power to make a stronger barrier, but Lu has no clue how to do that. Xiu explains that he simply needs to feel the flow of his precious power inside of him. Once it reaches his heart, then he needs to direct the flow to the target with his mind. They manage to do it just in time as the monster begins to do something. It strangely transforms into some kind of monk, and they assume that it's the master that buried the brushes there. The monster begins calling for someone named Chia, so Mr. Glasses realizes that this is the grudge of the master's disciple named Kai. A long time ago, the master entrusted Kai with some secret writing just before he died. Kai eventually broke his deceased master's trust by sharing this writing with a guy named Chia. Chio turned out to be working for another emperor and stole the writing from Kai, then eventually perished in vengeful sorrow. This thing is Kai's ghost, and it's extremely angry. The group is quickly running out of spiritual power, and their barrier is about to be destroyed. Lu tries to use his green lotus brush, but the pupil brush doesn't let him. Just then, Yan realizes that Lu's pupil brush has been pointing in the direction of the pen burial. No matter which direction Lu was looking in, the power within the burial must be reminding Kai of what he is so angry about, so they decide to destroy the burial. They need to find its exact location before their shield is destroyed, but the air is too thick with revenge to see anything. They will have to rely solely on the pupil brush to lead the way, but Glasses points out that they will take severe damage stepping outside the barrier. Ian points out that he can just heal them with his ability, but they will only have 9 chances. The 2 boys and Shu are the ones to go, but they are quickly attacked by the ghosts. Ian heals them all up, but that only leaves them with 6 more chances. Shu rushes to save Lu after he gets hit, but this causes her to take damage as well. Ian is forced to heal them all again, leaving them with only 3 chances. Eventually, he is only left with 1, but Shu bravely says that she doesn't need any more healing. They finally reach the burial, so Yan uses his last heal on Shu anyway so she can end the fight. Shu steps forward and uses her immense power to deal a massive blow. The ghost is shockingly taking form again, and she spots Kai's ear. She apologizes for what she must do and destroys it, but she is knocked back. Things have calmed down enough for Glasses to rush to Shu's side, but the ghost remains. A strange energy bursts in the distance, and a brush emerges after the energy enters some water. This brush begins to agitate Kai's ghost, but everyone is shocked to see that Lu's green lotus brush vestige has the ability to tame brush spirits. It seems that this new brush is one of the 7 dukes, as it begins to write something using Kai's ghost goo. Its writing makes it clear that this is the cloud brush, and Kai begins to cry. Kai is reunited with the secret writing he was supposed to protect, and he is finally able to rest in peace. Glasses tries to capture the cloud brush, but Rong's grandpa Y arrives to stop him. Glasses tries to fight for the brush, but it's no use as he is frozen by Rong. Lu pleads for an explanation from his old crush, so she states that Kai's spirit is in the cloud brush, and whoever takes the brush will be devoured by its grudge. The 7 dukes are attracted to each other, so the only reason the cloud brush hasn't escaped is because of Lu's green lotus brush. Lu becomes enraged as he begins to realize something. Mr. Y wrote the letter that was sent by Rong, and its entire purpose was to trick him into coming to the burial so Lu could help them take the cloud brush. Lu tries to strike Y down with some lightning, but Y just sends it right back at him. Rong rushes to make sure he is okay, but Y just laughs. He tells Lu to keep his brush spirit since it will be for his own good. Lu pushes Rong off of him as he will never be able to trust her again, so she leaves. King arrives soon after and explains that Y knocked him out. He wants to eliminate our heroes, but Glasses convince them to just take them back to their house. Their ink brush holder is broken, so they won't be able to capture their brushes anyway. When they get home, however, King is furious to hear that their clan master wants to interrogate them before taking their brushes. When King is alone, he becomes worried since he is sure that the guys will reveal that he murdered the guy named Fang. He knows exactly what he must do, as he states that only the dead can keep us secret. King goes to their cell, but he's shocked to find that the guards have been taken out. Inside the cell is an even more shocking scene as Shiju has already eliminated the guys. Shu was just avenging the chief and reveals that the guys were holding on to Fang's stuff. King recognizes Fang's picture, but she wonders how that could be possible since he never met him before. So he tries to come up with a lie. He says that Fang's name was just on the ID, but it's shockingly a different name. This means that he recognized Fang from the picture, but he isn't supposed to know what he looks like. Unfortunately for him, his lies fail one after another, and the boys reveal that they were just pretending. The ID was actually Yan's with Fang's picture over it. Some guy named Fei appears and tells King that he has a lot of explaining to do. A look into the recent past shows the boys being interrogated. Lu tried to tell Fei that King murdered Fang, but Fei didn't believe him. He did, however, allow Lu to ask his pupil brush what the best way to prove his innocence would be. The pupil brush did its thing and came up with a plan. The guys pretend to be dead, and they catch King in a lie which proves their innocence. King has no choice but to fight his way out, but the guys knock him out. They chain King up, and Faye uses his brush's ability to pull out King's brush. His brush then allows him to get answers from King's brush, since King was refusing to speak. Faye wants to know who he works for, but King just says they could never imagine the power his master has, and he spits out blood. King is dying, so Yan tries to keep him alive, but his ability fails for some reason. Glasses explains that Yan's ability can only turn back time from a short moment ago, so whatever has eliminated King must be from a while back. Faye suspects that whatever took King out was triggered when King spoke of the secret mastermind he was working for. Whoever created it must be super powerful, so Yan's ability had no chance of helping King afterward. Xiu thanks Lu for saving her at the burial, but he just credits the pupil brush for doing it. Faye thanks Lu for helping them find their traitor and reveals that the clan master wants to meet with them. The guy is the master of the Zuge family, so Lu realizes that the guy that was after him before must have been a faker. The clan master's name is Lee, and he offers to help Lu with whatever he needs as a reward for his help. Lu just wants to know how to split from his brush spirit, but Lee has no clue how to do it. He tells him to go to a place called the nunnery but warns to watch out for the death brush scribe. They are evil scribes that studied brush puppeteer refining and developed the art of refining the living into brush spirits known as the death brush. The death brush spirits will swallow human souls and possess their bodies. They become puppets which only obey the caster's orders. These scribes are evil and will definitely be interested in Lu's two brushes. Both the Zuge family and the Y families couldn't wipe out all these death brush spirits even with their combined efforts. Elsewhere, Y apologizes to Rong, but she is upset. This manipulative old man explains that he doesn't have much time left and is just worried about what Rong will do when he dies. She just wants to stay with him, and the old man promises to never kill her no matter what. All he asks for is for her to survive even after he passes away. Back with the Zuge family, the boys are invited to stay for a few days. This is like heaven for them as they enjoy a bit of golfing and lavish meals. The guys eventually realize that they're trying too hard to get them to stay there, and begin to wonder if they are under some kind of house arrest. Just then, Bidet sends Lu a message explaining that he has some information about the nunnery, and he has good news about splitting brush spirits. More importantly though, he states that the Zuge are bad people, and the guys need to run away as soon as possible. Lu tries to think of a way to escape, but luckily Xiu arrives to help. Her conditions are simple. She will help them escape if they help her get revenge on the rest of the traitors that helped eliminate the chief. That night, they make their escape, but are found by some strange guy. He tries to stop them, but the guys are surprised when the guy just lets them pass. It turns out that this guy's name is Chia and is somehow able to transport them back inside the gate every time they leave. Chia is the new chief, but Yan determines that they just have to defeat him. Chao pretends to be scared, but just embarrasses Yan when he teleports him. Lu noticed that Chio stomped the ground before activating his ability, and he came up with a guess. Chia must be transferring people in the reverse direction around his foot. He must only be able to transfer one person at a time, however, which is why he was waiting for them to run past the gate. Chio tells them that they are correct but reveals that they have no chance of escaping. The group thinks of a plan and takes off in all different directions. Chio confidently reveals that he can switch in different directions as well, but he realizes that he lost track of Yan. Yan knocks the loser out and points out that Chao didn't notice him because he was just standing still. On the way to the nunnery, Lu gets a call from a hospital about Pei being severely injured. The stupid Uber driver will only take them to the nunnery, so Wu decides that he will go check on Bede on his own afterwards. Yan and Xiu approach the nunnery, but they smell blood and find that a massacre has taken place there. Back at the hospital, Lu sits till Bede regains consciousness. The monk recounts how he started looking into the Y mansion after they parted. He found that his uncle Ding had bribed the elders of the clan with some stores at the estate to strengthen his power. He then began using this under the leadership of the late chief. Even though the chief was old, he was still powerful. No brush host in the Y clan could have overpowered his brush spirit and eliminated it in a flash like that. Bede later secretly tailed a member of the clan who left the mansion for business and found him meeting with a member of the Zuga clan in private. He overheard them discussing how to acquire brush spirits of the Zuga collection for someone they refer to as the Master. This confirms that there is a sinister third party that has united traitors from the Zuga and Y families. Fighter reveals that they caught wind of his investigation when he was waiting for them in Yongo. The monk noticed that the traitor of the Zuga clan was targeting the land nunnery, so he followed and was ambushed. Lu jolts up because Yan and Xiu are at the nunnery. The duo checks the unconscious agents to find that they have all been eliminated. Shu is a little confused because these members were sent to finish the traitors. However, the operation was scheduled for the following day. Ian speculates that Faye didn't want her to get involved, so he gave her misinformation. The old man didn't anticipate her being so stubborn to arrive so early. As they rush to the Luchan nunnery to find out the status of the situation, Bide confesses that their foes have terrifying powers, so he's lucky to have survived the ambush. Lu frantically tries to call Yan to warn them about the danger they face, but the guy doesn't pick up, so he decides to rush there to warn them. All the while, the duo arrives at the temple to find Faye and Aihui confronting the assailants. Yui rushes into attack, but he's taken out by Chun. Yan stops Shu when she tries to jump in to help. He wants to get a better understanding of the situation, so Shu identifies the other guy as Imin, and all the traitors of the Zuga clan have contact with him. A powerful brush puppet arrives on the scene, pausing Shu's attempt to get involved. The monster lets out a scream before attacking Faye, but the old man activates his brush and easily knocks him down. Yen is shocked that Faye's Tonian brush has such offensive power. Faye uses this opportunity to find that it's Chan who is controlling the monster and attacks him, but the creature intercepts before he gets to its controller. Chun uses his powers to increase the ferocity of his puppet, but Faye still knocks it down. Imin joins the fight by ambushing Faye and infecting him with the power of the ghost brush. Shu interjects as he prepares to land the final blow, and the duo quickly launches an attack to rescue Faye. They are successful, but Yan gets hit by the monster as he's about to heal Faye. Both Shu and Yan find themselves on the back foot and retreat to Faye's side. Lu arrives just in time and summons some spirit soldiers to find him in the monster's attack. He gives Yan a strong handshake as the friends reunite. Lu places something in Yan's hand before he confronts Imin. As they prepare to attack, Imin uses his powers to infect Shu, Yan, and Faye, knocking them unconscious. This attack sucks people's energy, so he threatens to take the three's life force if Lu doesn't forfeit his brushes. He's already aware that Lu came to separate himself from the brushes. The lad doesn't have any other option but to accept. Ian informs him that Hu was a former resident of the Luchan nunnery who practiced calligraphy. He wasted so many brushes it became known as the brush burial, but it was destroyed in a war. Lu is to go to the Hu fantasy dimension. The calligrapher sealed the brush burial by summoning 4 dragons. They turned to stone and have been guarding the place since. He must open it by using the pupil marking brush to mark it. This will give him access to the Hu fantasy. Lu opens the gate and steps in. He is amazed at how beautiful the place is. Meanwhile, back outside, Imin reveals that they intend to use Lu as bait for the dragon guardians. After he's sacrificed, they will enter and retrieve Hu's brush. They don't notice Hanan's hand glowing as they discuss their plot. Unfortunately for them, Lu is startled by the dragon, but they don't finish him off because he has the green lotus remnant. Hu appears before him, revealing that he was friends with Chingan, which is why the dragon stopped their attack. The calligrapher invites him inside for a chat and gives him a drink that heals his wound. As they discuss, Lu requests Hu's brush so that he can defeat the enemies that await outside. The calligrapher informs him that he didn't want to be turned into a brush, so he created the Hu fantasy instead. During that interim, Yen regains consciousness because Lu gave him a charm from the monk, which dispelled the infection. He heals Shu and Faye, allowing them to begin their counterattack. As they fight, Imin uses himself as a human shield to prevent Faye from taking massive damage. Back in the fantasy dimension, Hu shows Lu the fight happening outside and informs him that he can either use this opportunity to remove the brushes that dwell inside of him or attain the power needed to defeat the opponents outside. He chooses the latter and emerges to Imin's surprise with his newfound power. He swiftly defeats them and demands Imin to tell him who his master is. He calls the name Hanjong before he's eliminated by his master, and Chan quickly excuses himself. Lu recalls his teacher Mr. Ju mentioning the same name in the past. The sun shines on his face as he ponders what to do next.